I'm Niels Melzer. I'm the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture. I have visited Julian Assange on the 9th of May 2019 in Belmarsh prison. I have evaluated his situation and his case, and I am absolutely convinced that if extradited to the United States, he will be exposed to cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment or even torture. I am convinced that the conditions of detention he will be exposed to there and the unfair trial he will be exposed to are incompatible with human rights law and do not allow his extradition to the United States.
Julian Assange's case sets a precedent in relation to the extraterritorial reach of the US state to persecute a journalist and publisher with a 100% track record of accuracy, who was carrying out journalism outside the US, in Europe, and who is an Australian citizen.
On 12th of December, there will be an election of a new government in Britain. There has been no mention during the campaign of the journalist and publisher in Belmarsh prison, who is Britain's political prisoner.
Julian Assange is not being punished for anything he has done wrong. He is being punished for everything he has done right.
The US is asserting the right to prosecute a non-US person who's not in the US under US laws. That is absolutely terrifying. Can you imagine if Russia wanted to prosecute an NGO or a journalist in London for revealing Russian crimes? It's exactly the same principle.
The extradition treaty between Britain and the United States includes one vital section that says, and I paraphrase it, no one shall be extradited if the offence which he or she is said to have committed is in any way political. 17 charges concocted against Julian Assange by the United States are based on the 1917 Espionage Act, which was and remains a political law enacted to chase after conscientious objectors during the First World War.
What he attempted to do was smash through the wall which has been created between us and the actions of governments who are supposedly acting in our names. Now, the function of this is to scare people away from crashing through those walls.
Julian Assange was transferred to the healthcare division of Belmarsh, I believe about a week after my visit, and has been held there since then. His health seems to have entered a downward spiral now, and I'm seriously concerned for his life. Psychological torture is not torture light. Psychological torture aims directly at destroying a person's personality and identity, of destabilizing a person mentally and emotionally to make them break.
Chronic psychological stress, trauma and torture doesn't only harm a person emotionally and cognitively, it also harms them physically. Being in that chronically elevated state of stress, so chronically activated stress physiology, so it's a very serious and dangerous situation. And there's a fundamental fact here that you can't adequately medically treat a torture victim while continuing to torture them.
The British government has out of hand dismissed the concerns of the United Nations, not just the concerns of Niels Melzer, but dismissed the report of the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention. And in hundreds of other cases, literally hundreds of other cases, every single one the British government had always supported the decisions of that working group.
Now, Chelsea Manning is also re-imprisoned. She used WikiLeaks to expose the extensive cover-up of rape and other sexual violence and murder, including of women and children, by the US military in Afghanistan, Bosnia and Iraq. Do these victims not count? We have to save the lives of Chelsea and Julian, because in saving their lives, we're saving our own. Sending someone to their death, or 175 years in prison and torture in the US for espionage, has nothing to do with justice.
There are many reasons to defend Julian, even if you have never met him. Freedom of expression, rule of law, due process, democracy, sovereignty, the right to asylum, and human rights in general.
So what I say to all of you is continue the work of Julian Assange, break their digital walls, make that information the property of the public. We have the right to see it, and we must continue to penetrate their invisible walls of secrecy.
I know Julian very well. He's my friend. And I have no doubt that he deserves to be protected. Thank you.
It is not only that he is the victim of torture, it is not only that his life is at stake, it is not only we want to save him from a dreadful injustice, we also want to save him because the world needs Julian Assange as a symbol and fighter for liberty in these times.
The situation that Julian Assange finds himself in now has been created predominantly by 4 states. The United States, predominantly that wanted to achieve his extradition from the beginning, the United Kingdom, Sweden and Ecuador. Currently, obviously, Julian Assange is in the jurisdiction of the UK. So it is the legal responsibility of the UK to ensure his human rights and to protect his human rights. This is not being done.